Cricket stuff this, it's Parker's curler! Fine save by Ludek McCloskey. Gary Parker bent that. And the Czech goalkeeper responded. Good football. And Forest's movement here was excellent. They were working the ball into a position for Parker, and he tried to find the top corner. Great save. That's Roy Keane again. Gary Parker, incidentally, played here in the semi-final for Luton Town back in 1985 against Everton, when Luton were winning 1-0 with 5 minutes to go and got beaten in extra time. David Fleet's team, that was. Well, there, he just about had Wembley in his sights, but McCloskey prevented the third goal, which would surely have settled it. This is Kevin Keane for West Ham. Forest were away again. That was Wone who found Nigel Clough, and good running by Roy Keane to the right here, and Nigel Clough's ball is perfect. This is the Irishman again, Roy Keane. Good save by the keeper. Got the angle absolutely spot on, McCloskey. Don't think Keane did too much wrong. I think it goes down as a good save. Again, Nigel Clough's pass laid into Keane's path to perfection. Don't suppose there are many people that turn on at a time like this. You've probably been with us most of the day, the football fans at home, but if anybody did get delayed over the afternoon, Nottingham Forest leading by 2-0. Gary Crosby on 50 minutes, Roy Keane on 59, and the most significant first half incident, the sending off of West Ham's Tony Gale after 25 minutes for a pullback foul on Gary Crosby. Hotly debated. Here's Paris, and the goalkeeper in charge of that.
One must feel sorry, really, for West Ham. They're in a terrible situation at the moment. But to get something from it, they have to stick together. They don't want to be strung out. They don't want to give unnecessary passes away. And try to keep together still. You might get something out of it, but it's a difficult thing that they've got to do. It's obvious from Nottingham Forest's point of view that they're going to enjoy this next 20-25 minutes. Everyone's looking for the ball. They're supporting one another. Puts a lot of pressure on the defenders at West Ham, and this lad who's got the ball now, Nigel Clough, will play a big part.
This is Crosby. Good support again in the middle here. Still Gary Crosby going all the way until Colin Foster took him out. There's almost a tendency now for Forest to over-elaborate, because they have got different alternatives when they move forward towards that West Ham penalty area, which is what Chettle is doing now for the corner. Crosby to swing it in, or even go short to Parker. "20 minutes left of the 90, and Nottingham Forest appear to have a winning lead. There's Chettle. Oh, over the head of Foster, it's Nigel Clough, and it's Stuart Pearce! And the skipper's got the third. Surely Nottingham Forest are at Wembley now. Surely the long wait is over for Brian Clough in the FA Cup. And surely no more inspirational figure to clinch it for him than his captain Stuart Pearce. A bad mistake by Colin Foster. He ducked underneath the bouncing ball, really. Clough couldn't finish it, but Stuart Pearce with his right foot, shall we mention there, certainly did. It's 3-0 and Pearce in off the post.
All over now, John, I'm afraid. They have been enjoying themselves this last 10-15 minutes, Forest, playing good football. And, of course, they're getting a bit more dejected now, West Ham at the back. And a lot of indecision there by Colin Foster, which resulted in the goal. Stuart Pearce with his right foot, that's unusual in itself. Nevertheless, I suppose he feels in the situation he can try anything.
Well, The referee even gave Forest a helping foot there, didn't he? Everything's going their way. This is Roy Keane. They've got 5 players up against 4 defenders. This could get almost embarrassing unless West Ham are careful. Well, not like that it won't, because Parker's wasted it. But going back to Stuart Pearce, Bobby, that's his 12th goal of the season from left-back, and none of them have been penalties. What a contribution.
Yes, marvellous. He's a great player. And it would be great to see him at Wembley, which I've no doubt we will now. But for a defender to score all those goals is really special. I know he has got takes great free kicks and penalty kicks, but nevertheless, to get that number of goals from out just ordinary players, absolutely brilliant. We're very pleased at our club that Steve Bruce has done the same. It must be something that defenders are thinking about these days, going forward into situations they maybe didn't before. But they're certainly getting the rewards this season.
I think it's because they haven't got so many forwards to mark, you know, Bobby. There's a bit more freedom for them. But certainly Pearce and, as you say, Bruce have put in a handy tally this year. And you don't ever quite know where Pearce is coming from. It's not just from corners and free kicks he gets up there. It's in open play as well. Now then, Nottingham Forest on their way to Wembley, it would seem. Well, I think that might be a booking. The crowd on the far side reacted to the tackle, and Roy Keane, I don't think there's any real need actually to do that in that part of the field, but the yellow card is shown to a young man who's had quite an afternoon. And now there's going to be a substitution by West Ham, and the man coming off is Trevor Morley, just come back into action following that stabbing injury, and the replacement is the Ireland international, Northern Ireland, Jimmy Quinn. Well, he came off the bench to score the winner against Crewe in the 5th round. He needs to do rather better than that today if he's going to rescue West Ham. They're 3-0 down, and the second half has belonged to the red shirts of Nottingham Forest. Des Walker. There's a flag up there, offside I think. Well, he's a happy young man, isn't he? Might be starting to think about whether he can get a ticket for May the 18th. And I suppose I probably am permitted to mention it now with only about a quarter of an hour to go, but it's looking very much like Tottenham versus Nottingham Forest. And I would have thought on paper that would be a cup final to savour. However, strange things have happened, and this is Martin Allen. Flags up. Kevin Keane's offside.
I must be honest, really, and say that Forest's attitude since half-time has been really good. And forgetting the controversy of Gale sending off, I think that really they might still have won this match. Generally speaking, they've been superior in the passing, the running off the ball, and everything they seem to have done has been intelligent. I think they probably would have won the match anyway. Nevertheless, you'll never tell that to a West Ham fan, I've no doubt. But I think, like you say, John, it'll be a good cup final. Nottingham Forest and Tottenham Hotspur. Good players, skillful players, 2 teams renowned for playing good football. I'm not taking anything away from West Ham. I hope the terrible thing, as far as Forest were concerned, if they were to prove me wrong.
Well, the West Ham supporters are doing their best to keep their team's morale high. It's a great sight to see them full of enthusiasm even when their team are 3-0 down, but it's the Forest Brigade who look as if they're going to Wembley. Quinn, and away by Parker. Clever couldn't get the flick on. This is Colin Foster. Nicely back into the path of Bishop. Good save by Mark Crossley. West Ham showing that they've got big hearts. But Forest have got the runners forward again. It's Keane looking for Wone. Ian Wone, what an experience. First time he's ever started an FA Cup tie, a year out of non-league, and he looks as though he's helping his team to Wembley. Here's Crosby. Clough just inside him. Nigel Clough. Play on. Clough again. Oh, they've got man to spare here. Crosby with Parker outside him. Crosby again. Keane coming forward in the middle. It's gone past him. Clough, is he brought down? Well, Forest have possession, although he is injured, Nigel Clough. Parker. Clough still hands on knees, nursing the knock. Forest just keeping possession. Glover. Still Lee Glover. And headed back by Kevin Keane. No flag. It's Slater. Look where Roy Keane was. What an inspirational performance by this 19-year-old. And a knowledgeable one too for a player who's only been in the league a year. Some of his defending, as I think probably Charlton mentioned earlier, has been as noticeable as his attacking.
Yes, I think if you had to pick a man of the match, I'd have to give it to Roy Keane. Everything he's done seems to have been perfect. Everything his manager or his coach have asked him to do, he's done. He's absolutely shattered. But to win the semi-final, the prize at the end of the day is worth it. And I think certainly he's been the outstanding player and probably turned the match for Forest here.
On by Clough, looking for Glover. Well, there are only half as many people inside Villa Park as there were at Wembley, but they're making it a memorable occasion with their backing for the two teams. The noise is incessant. The scene's still very colourful. And if you are feeling sorry for West Ham, well, Jimmy Quinn is offside. Don't forget, the chances are they may well get their reward with promotion back to the First Division, and nobody would deny them that, surely.
No, not at all. We'll be pleased to see them back in the First Division. But isn't it strange, the two teams out of the four that took part in these semi-finals today, the two teams that had to win to get something from the season are the ones that are going to win. Arsenal have got the league, West Ham have got promotion. Tottenham had to do something to get something from this season with all the problems that they've had. Forest, by their own standards, have had a bad season. But like Manchester United last year, the Cup, it seems to have had the name on it. Well, certainly Wembley. But nevertheless, West Ham do have some consolation. They've a lot more to go for this season.
Well, the face of a man who's taken his team and these supporters and others like them to Wembley in the League Cup 5 times with 4 wins. But in the FA Cup, Brian Clough is within minutes now of reaching Wembley for the first time. Off goes Martin Allen, and on comes Ray Stewart, who only came back into the first team after an absence of over 2 years in the week. Here's George Paris. Quinn has made a forward run for West Ham. So Brian Clough's team selection, ignoring the claims of Jensen and to an extent Hodge, seems to have paid off. There'll be some competition for places now before Wembley, I can tell you. This is Wone and Glover, the two recent additions to the team. Stuart Pearce. And what about the goal count since the semi-finals went live on BBC television? 4-3 here last year, Liverpool Palace, 3-3 at Manchester. So far here today, 3-0 to Forest, off the back of 3-1 for Spurs. I won't add them up now, but you can. Here's Charles. Back into Charles' path from Glover. Charles shoots. It's number 4, and it's the young right back, Gary Charles. A great moment for him. That, without any doubt at all, clinches Nottingham Forest's place in the 1991 FA Cup final, and definitely ends the long wait for an applauding Brian Clough. And Gary Charles, 21 years old yesterday, gives himself the kind of present, little deflection perhaps, he won't mind about that any player would want. The goal that puts the semi-final beyond any doubt at all. So West Ham go 4-0 down after 81 minutes. And a smiling manager knows now that it's Forest versus Spurs on the 18th of May. Just as I was saying that Palace scored 4 here last year, Forest go and do exactly the same. Slater for West Ham. And again. Well played by Potts. And here's George Paris. Is there a consolation? Well, there's a corner. To go. Foster is forward. Quinn, who's recently come on, is there as well. Mark out there by Pearce. I can't remember Gary Charles scoring a first-team goal for Forest before, but he certainly took that one like a forward, didn't he, Bobby?
Yes, well, they're queuing up now to go forward. Every time they go up front, they look as though they're going to score a goal. And it's great for these young lads. They probably thought this was going to be a real test for them this afternoon. It's probably turned out a little easier than they thought. So they want to enjoy it while they've got it. Everyone's going forward trying to get a goal.
And there's Lee Glover, who hasn't got one yet. Pearce, who has. Bishop. And now West Ham break with Quinn. A chance here for the Hammers. It's a good chance too. Jimmy Quinn would have expected to score there, wouldn't he?
Should have scored. Yes, on his left foot, plenty of time. Just pulled it wide. But in this fantastic job, they see these West Ham supporters 4-0 down, and yet they're still cheering as though they were in the lead.
It's so typical of the club, though, Bobby, isn't it? It's a little theatre of football down in the East End where these folk watch their game, and their affinity with the team is quite outstanding and reflected there, as you say, when the cause is lost and the hopes of a cup final place have gone. But as I say, if there's any justice, I think you'll find them back in the First Division, and that's really Billy Bond's main target this season. The cup was a bonus in that sense. There's Walker. But if we're talking about teams who play football the right way, the same has to be said of Nottingham Forest, the winners today. Very rarely do you see them resorting to anything underhand, not usually in trouble with referees. A simple, straightforward, passing style of play on the ground, and that should make for a good day at Wembley. Just under 6 minutes away they are now, although obviously the match today will be clouded slightly by the sending off in the first half of Tony Gale, and although I don't particularly want to dwell on that, you have to remind yourself that it was a turning point. It's given Forest so much more space in which to play. This is Roy Keane, Glover in the middle, Crosby coming up in support, number 7. Well, we shan't be needing extra time today, not in either semi-final. 2 clear-cut victories, and Forest moving forward looking for number 5. Well, often a team can relax and freewheel a bit in a semi-final, but they're so much in charge now. That's a foul by Ray Stewart on Stuart Pearce. Gary Parker sizing up the chances of curling one, but says no, gives it to Wone instead. Played in for Glover. And again. Well, in this spring sunshine, my mind goes back to the fog-bound days by the Trent in January when Forest couldn't get their third-round match played against Crystal Palace. They're 4 minutes away now from Wembley. It's a great competition, this FA Cup, and it's got to have its sad side, as reflected today in what's happened to West Ham, particularly in the first half. Chettle with Quinn. Then Charles gets involved. Oh, good ball by Quinn. It's Kevin Keane for West Ham. He's away from the goalkeeper. Chips it. George Paris stretching. Couldn't get the contact he needed. But all credit to West Ham. They had a real go, Bobby, really, in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, epitomised by that man there. Billy Bonds, always the type that wanted to do everything he could. 100% player. George Paris, he's so tired he couldn't actually get the height to put the ball in the back of the net. But brilliant.
Off goes Roy Keane. What a day he's had. And into the action, I'm sure that's a deliberate ploy by Brian Clough to give Brian Laws, a good, solid, experienced pro, a taste of the semi-final. And, well, they'll remember Roy Keane for his first year in league football, and he's going to finish it would seem, in the FA Cup final at Wembley. Also strikes me that both the Forest fullbacks have scored. That can't happen very often in a semi-final. Pearce and Charles. But then again, there's been that sort of freedom. Here's Laws. Crosby, Parker. I just wonder how Brian Clough is going to react when the final whistle goes. You just never know with the man. He might walk off, he might stay out, we shall see. 2 minutes to go, his team are 4-0 up, and they're having a joyride to Wembley now. His son Nigel directing operations in masterful style in the second half. He's found Wone. Oh, the space here. It's Laws, and now it's Crosby. And Crosby again. That hit Colin Foster. Some tired legs now on the West Ham side. Crosby still. Charles. And it's Pearce. Through by Clough. Tries to find Pearce again. Potts. This is Quinn. And Nigel Clough, well, when you're 4 up in a semi-final, your legs want to go on and on. And he made a tackle there, which actually has brought both himself and Jimmy Quinn to the ground. We've just got a minute to go here at Villa Park, and Forest faces reflecting that they are close to something which to their club is extra special. It's 32 years since Nottingham Forest reached the FA Cup final. They beat Luton Town in 1959, and it's about to happen again. The West Ham physio, John Green, is on the pitch, attending to substitute Jimmy Quinn.
Well, I'm very pleased for Nottingham Forest. They're a marvellous club. Maurice Roth, the chairman, and all his directors, right through from Brian Clough, right through the boot boy. It's a marvellous club, and they deserve this little place in history. Brian Clough, what can be said? There'll be lots of words written about him between now and the final, and he'll have a lot to say.
And here's Lee Glover, the man who Brian Clough selected ahead of Nigel Jemson today. Nigel Clough, a good pass forward, and they're on the move again with Wone. This is now time being added on for stoppages, and there's Brian Laws, the substitute. It opened up for him, but he shot wide. Nice for Brian Laws. I remember at Old Trafford, 2 years ago in that replayed semi-final against Liverpool, he had the misfortune to put the ball in his own goal and send Liverpool to Wembley. But today, a very different scene for Nottingham Forest, and for those players who've been involved, like Brian Clough, in 2 losing semi-finals in the last 3 years, the tide has turned for them, and surely nobody with a heart in football would begrudge them that.
No, he must go down as one of the great managers, Brian Clough. He's running off now. He reckons he's done his job. He's motivated the players, he's got them to play really marvellous football, and they're at Wembley.